In this module, we will be discussing modern mathematics classrooms. So we will be discussing reform teaching methods, how they're different, and what it means to learn with understanding. So I'd like to talk about some observations we're seeing in classrooms right now. We know when students are memorizing mathematical skills and concepts, they aren't necessarily learning. Typically, these students are going to struggle to make sense of the concepts and the content and understand the actual procedures. And while they might remember it long enough to do well on a chapter test, these students tend to recall the material for only a short period of time. Suppose this is a Regents level course. When it gets to the end of the year and it's time to take that Regents, these students are only going to remember a certain percentage of the course content. If we teach students how to do the math rather than memorizing a bunch of procedures and formulas, they'll do significantly better. And that's what we're going to be looking at in this course. Without the opportunity to explore the lesson, communicate ideas, and make connections to prior material, make connections to different processes other students might have, how they're different, how they're the same, why they both work, why maybe they don't work, it's going to be difficult for our students to create meaningful knowledge and use it outside of our classrooms. So in the 21st century, learning is more about asking and analyzing questions, collaborative learning, and experiencing content rather than memorizing the content. So for the rest this week, we're going to be reviewing some learning theories that you might already be familiar with, and then we're also going to be looking at our texts Hiebert and Bowler, and you'll notice that they both encourage learning with understanding, and they'll give you some ideas about this. Hiebert identifies 5 dimensions for learning with understanding. They are the nature of learning tasks, the role of the teacher, the social culture of the classroom, the kind of mathematical tools that are available, and the accessibility of mathematics for every student. And we will be going over these in detail in the next modules, but I would like to touch on the core features here briefly. So with the nature of learning tasks, we're asking, is mathematics in our classroom problematic? Does it connect with where our students are? Does it leave behind a mathematical residue? That's something that sticks, something meaningful. The role of the teacher. Are we selecting tasks with goals in mind, sharing essential material? We're also going to get into how the role of the teacher has changed and why it is important, particularly with the introduction of the Common Core standards. So next, are we establishing a social culture in our classrooms? So here, are ideas and it's valued? Are we giving students the opportunity to choose their own methods? Are we using mistakes as learning sites for everyone? And this is important. Next, the kind of mathematical tools that are available. So are we letting students construct their own meaning for tools? If we give them a tool and tell them to use it for, say, X, Y, and Z, the tool probably doesn't have the value we're looking for. And another thing we have to be careful of is we also can't just use tools for the sake of using tools. There needs to be some purpose. And finally, the accessibility of mathematics for every student. Are our tasks accessible to all students? Is every student heard? Is every student contributing? And we're going to get into how we make sure we're promoting equity and how every student can contribute without boring some students or without reaching too far. And as I mentioned, we're going to be taking each of these dimensions and looking at them in depth in the next few weeks. I'd like you guys to watch the YouTube clip with Joe Bowler about learning math in the right ways. And we're going to have a discussion about this module, which should be pretty interesting. I'd like to hear your ideas. And also, just to note, the mini lecture will be available on our mini lecture page in Module 2. And these are our textbooks. These are references that I've used in this PowerPoint. So I'd like you guys to get started. Make sure you do the readings and start your assignments.